You can eat clean and drink your water, take the supplements, but if your sleep is out of whack, everything else is going to struggle. You're waking up tired, relying on coffee, tossing and turning throughout the night even though you're exhausted. Listen up, you're not a bad sleeper. You might just have bad sleep hygiene. Let's talk about how sleep impacts just about everything. Your mood, your metabolism, your blood sugar, your digestion, your cravings, and how you handle stress the next day. Low-key, rest is a nutrient. Quick disclaimer, this is not medical advice or a replacement for support from a licensed healthcare professional, but this is real education from someone who is learning how to support the body naturally, one system at a time. Welcome back to the Main Character Maintenance series. I am Jordan Ray, and what I bring to the table is support for women who are tired of starting over every single Monday. For those who want support with their gut health, metabolism, and are leaning into anti-inflammatory practices, I'm here for that. This series is produced by and thus sponsored by my practice, Fine Diet. You can learn more at myfinediet.com. I will have that linked in the description. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything from the Main Character Maintenance series coming up. In the last video, we talked about what happens when you are underfed and overstimulated. Today, we are talking about sleep hygiene and sleep recovery, because when you are not sleeping well, you're not healing. I'm a nutrition student. I am a few weeks out from graduating, and I am obsessed with rhythms and routines and real life nourishment. And what I've learned is that your ability to show up for yourself the next day begins the night before. All right, I want to check down some pain points when it comes to sleep. But before that, I want to acknowledge that clinical sleep disorders are a real thing. And if you're dealing with something like insomnia or sleep apnea or another sleep condition, this video is not a replacement for that type of care. That said, many of us do have trouble with sleeping or could be sleeping and recovering a little bit better. And so some of these pain points might resonate. The first is being so tired at night that you can't fall asleep. So this could happen when your cortisol levels are high. Your cortisol is going to dip in the evenings, or it should, or you can do things to help it dip. But if your body is stuck in like this high cortisol state or sympathetic state due to maybe poor blood sugar regulation, just overall stress, blue light even, that can affect your quality of sleep. You'll be stuck between wired and tired. Frustrating. Another pain point is I have to drink coffee in the mornings before anything else. I'm reliant on coffee. I'm going to tell you that this is not a caffeine deficiency, because there is no such thing as that. This is a recovery issue because your body has not restored itself overnight. Another thing that we deal with is feeling groggy even after sleeping for 8 hours. Like, what is that about? The amount of time that you sleep has nothing to do with the quality of your sleep. You ever slept for 6 hours and felt really good, but then one day you slept 8 or 9 hours and you were like, I'm still tired. There's a science to all of this. And lastly, if you snack a lot or you skip meals, this is your leptin and ghrelin now being affected by poor sleep. Leptin and ghrelin are your hunger hormones that tell you you're full or you're satiated. And having less control of those things is going to lead to more cravings. Okay, I really want to get into how sleep impacts our health foundations. The very first thing is metabolism. Well, in no particular order, but we're going to talk about metabolism first. Poor sleep is going to affect your metabolism by actually slowing down your metabolism. Your body is going to basically go into stress mode, and it turns down the metabolism because it starts to focus on conserving energy, because it's like, well, we didn't sleep enough. We're not restored. We weren't able to recover. It's going to restore your energy and actually probably likely store more fat. It's a survival response. And then after that, gut motility and repair happen the most at night. So this has a major effect on our digestion. So between the hours of like 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., your liver is most at work, according to both traditional Chinese medicine and modern biological rhythms. Also, cortisol is going to remain high after you've woken up if you've had some poor sleep, because your body actually needs to produce more cortisol to remain alert, like to keep you awake for the next day. And this is exactly where that wired and tired feeling comes from. You're physically tired, but your cortisol is pumping, and so you're wired at the same time. Blood sugar is going to be a little bit harder to regulate when you are lacking sleep, because it makes your body less sensitive to insulin and thus more prone to cravings. Studies show that insulin resistance increases after just one night of poor sleep. And another thing that happens after a poor night's sleep is that your mental clarity and your memory decline, because sleep is when your brain processes thoughts, clears out waste, creates the memories. And if that does not happen, everything else slows down. Being tired can impair your brain more than being tipsy, because you're operating in this literal brain fog. It's crazy. All right, cool. What can I actually do about this? I understand I was not the best night routine person. I thought that because my morning routine was so intact that I could just get away with being a little bit lackadaisical on the night routine, but that's not true. That's really just as important. And our day of really started the night before. Like how we are going to show up for the day ahead, we got to get that rest and recovery the night before. Non-negotiable. I have a few mostly actionable steps that you can take to start to get better sleep ASAP. The first thing is to prioritize your rhythm. Try to go to sleep and wake up around the same time every night and in the mornings, even on the weekends. I personally literally put my sleep times in my Google Calendar so I can see if I have a week where I'm going to be going to bed a little bit later. I can adjust for that by knowing that my mornings might start a little bit later. And that way I'm consistent throughout the week. And it's not like one day I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and then the next day I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I would definitely give that a try if you keep a digital calendar, is to put your sleep time and wake up time in your calendar, like block that off as your rest and recovery time. Balancing your blood sugar is going to help you also sleep well in the evenings. We're going to talk about this a little bit more next week, so stay tuned. But eating every 3 to 4 hours is going to keep your energy stable and not eating too close to bed. So you want to be done eating before bed about at least 2, maybe 3 hours, ideally, before you go to sleep. Like you've had your last meal, so you're not digesting that meal while you're trying to sleep, because your body will then prioritize digestion and not the sleep and recovery that you want to prioritize. And what's crazy too is under eating is going to create a cortisol spike. We talked about this last week, being underfed and overstimulated, and that is going to make it harder to fall or stay asleep. All of this is connected. If you are prone to anxiety or restlessness, you definitely want to make sure that you're cutting caffeine around 1 or 2. Our bodies operate on this circadian rhythm, and we really want to lean into that. It's a thing with the rise of the sun and the sunset. And so if you're prone to that anxiety and whatnot, you want to make sure that the caffeine is out of your system well before it's bedtime, so you can start to produce that natural melatonin and fall asleep. Think about matching your caffeine to your biology and not your to-do list. Definitely figure out what your wind down routine looks like and how much time that you need. Maybe 30 minutes is enough for you to power down. Perhaps you need an hour where you start to dim lights, you turn on some evening jazz, maybe some brown noise, like right before you go to sleep. You're going to say, oh, I'm going to start doing sleep meditation, something that I swear by. A sleep meditation in 5 or 10 minutes, you will be knocked out. After you've practiced it for a while. It doesn't happen like the very first night. It's not like hypnotism or nothing, but sleep meditations, breath work, legs up the wall, something soothing, like a warm bath, obviously like a warm shower, things like that, that signal to your brain, okay, the room is getting darker. I'm turning off my screens. It's time to power down. All of that stuff. I know that sometimes we want to scroll, or sometimes we want to just catch up on our show or whatnot. And that's fine. But having a rhythm where you're not as attached to that all the time, where you can have an actual night routine, just like you would have a routine for anything else. But definitely move away from some of those screens. I know it's hard, but it's going to help us produce melatonin so we can get into that slumber. Let me leave you with this mindset shift. Soothing is not the same as numbing. And I think we want to be very clear on when we do that or the other. Soothing is going to be more like the brown noise, the evening jazz, the legs up the wall, the meditations, the sleep meditations that I'm sharing, the breath work, the warm baths and things like that. Those different rituals that feel more soothing. Whereas snacking or binge watching a show, staying up late, scrolling, we know we got to be up in the morning. Those are going to be things that's numbing to us. And we're numbing maybe because we are, we have anxiety about the next day. But I'm just here to encourage you and challenge you to work through that if that's something that you're up against. Something that you might not be really considering is to support your sleep environment. So think about blackout curtains, an eye mask, earplugs if you need them, depending on where you live. You might even want to start to fall asleep in headphones. Like I did that for a while. You want to make sure that your room is cold and dark and comfortable. This signals to your brain that it's safe and everything is calm and it's time to go to sleep and recover. The last thing that's not as actionable if you're not already, but tracking your sleep is a game changer. I started to do this about a year ago when I started to work with Ultrahuman, and I was, wearing my first wearable tracker, and I didn't realize that the sleep tracking was going to captivate me so much. I always look at my sleep and I am much more aware of the quality of sleep that I'm getting and how efficient my sleep is based on my sleep score and how many times I tossed and I turned, or when my heart rate dropped that evening. Like we want our heart rates to drop earlier in the evening. That signals that we're entering deep sleep faster, and how many sleep cycles I've forgotten and things like that. It's really cool. I've done a video and a review on Ultrahuman that I'll link in the description, and I'll also link my code for 10% off. It's a great product for real, and it really taught me how to be accountable for my sleep and how much sleep debt I was in. So if I only got 6 hours one night, I knew that the next night I would want to try to not necessarily make up and get 8 hours that night and an extra 2, but just I was just aware of how much I did or didn't sleep that week, and it gave me understanding for why I may or may not be irritable, bad mood, a little down, a little cranky, and that's just so helpful to have that mirror. So with everything I shared, you don't have to do it all at once. I would actually take 1 or 2 things that I mentioned and really get serious about it. I feel like none of this is really revelatory, the things that you can do to prepare yourself for a good night's sleep, but it is something that if you're not practicing it every night, if it's not really tallying up, you could be doing yourself a disservice and not really recovering like you want to be. But if you want your energy and your mood and your focus to be at their best, it definitely starts with rest. And we get caught up in like, I'll sleep when I die, or, I don't have time to sleep right now. And depending on your season of life, I understand if you're not getting as much sleep as you would actually like, but hopefully that is just a season. You're not making a lifestyle of it. You know what I'm saying? Because sleep is not a luxury. It's a biological requirement. And once you really start treating it like a priority, everything else will get easier and better. Your metabolism, your digestion, your mood, your gut health, your hormone health, your stress levels, your energy, your diet choices. I mean, the list goes on. Remember, rest is a nutrient. If you've been struggling with sleep, I hope that this video made some connections for you on how your life is being impacted by your quality of sleep, and that you're ready to take 1 or 2 things that I mentioned into account and a little bit more seriously for better rest. So leave me some love in the comments and hit that subscribe button. I have some more main character maintenance videos coming your way.